All right, good morning, everybody. Right off the rip, Tim Lowry with the shot across the bow for him. Good morning, Rip. Bring my baby prop should resign. Yeah, and that's kind of the conversation we're about to have. So before we get into that, listen to the lovely tones of Mario stirring his coffee. Uh, I see Patrick's with us and Danny's with us. Good morning, y'all. Good to have you. I wanna throw a little news at you. We got our first payout from the Rumble Creator Program, and I'm not going to talk about the exact numbers or anything, but many of you guys who have been watching for a long time know that this has always just been kind of a hobby horse for me. Uh, I always kind of hoped that maybe one video would take off and suddenly this would be all we do. But, you know, we understood the problems with the YouTube algorithm, big tech mass censorship and all that. Uh, and I worked my ass off month before last to get us into the Rumble Creator Program. And I'll tell you the truth, when I was doing that, I expected that it would be kind of like the YouTube Partner Program, where uh, what you're getting is a guarantee that you're allowed to make money, but not necessarily actually doing anything, especially considering algorithmic suppression and all that stuff. But no, we just got a payout that was substantially more substantial than what I expected the program to be. Uh, it's it's not enough to make Cameron and Mario quit their jobs immediately, but it is enough to signal me that that's an actual possibility with the Rumble Creator Program. So that is a big deal, and so I definitely want to give a shout out to Rumble and you guys that are watching on YouTube this morning. Go check out a Rumble Premium account, and let me say this: if nothing else, start using even if you don't go for the premium account, start watching on Rumble. Start using Rumble. Get the Rumble app on your phone because if for no other reason, even with a free account on Rumble, unlike YouTube, you can watch shows like this, like Crowder and Tim Pool and Russell Brand and all that. You can turn those shows on in the Rumble app and then close the app on your phone so you can listen to it while you're driving, right? Can't do that with YouTube. You have to keep the app open in order to continue listening to the audio. So that by itself is a big deal. But of course, you want to be a member of Rumble Premium so that you can watch the premium content that we do on this channel. Like for example, this upcoming weekend on Saturday, we're going to be doing a special on the French Revolution and how modern politics is rooted in many of the let's face it, atrocities that were a part of that activity. So this morning, I've got Mario with us. We're going to talk. We're going to talk about two things this morning. We're going to start by talking about this remote voting for new mothers, and then we're going to shift into tariffs because, of course, yesterday was Liberation Day, and Trump dropped the massive tariffs. I say massive. They're really not that massive. They're more broad, right? They're kind of broad and shallow, not deep and tailored. So we'll get into that in a minute. But first,
Well,
uh,
they could be if the trade partners don't decide to play along with the new normal. Okay,
correct.
if they decide to use reciprocal tariffs in light of our new tariffs, then yes, then it will get very painful very quick. That's what Trump said.
Yeah, and we'll get into that more in a minute. So first, I want to talk about this one, and I'm leading off with this one for basically three reasons. This is a more controversial topic as far as the public conversation goes. So frankly, I went with this one for our lead topic this morning because I think it's going to draw a lot more attention and viewers, hopefully, than the tariffs. Tariffs are great. We're going to talk about it in detail, but let's be real, for the average viewer, it's boring and it's over their head because Americans don't understand it.
Oh no, it's
This is
boring.
something that people can understand.
It's boring for me too, and I don't really understand it, but I'll attempt. I'll make an attempt at it anyway.
but this is something that people can understand, and it's a dirty move. So, it, oh, so we've got 9 Republicans, 9 GOP, who have broken with the party to side with the entirety of the Democrats in order to put in a provision that allows new mothers. Here, let me read the listing here. Where is it? Okay, so the first line here says 9 Republicans joined with all 213 Democrats Tuesday to keep alive a bill that would allow lawmakers who are new parents to cast proxy votes for 3 months after their child's birth. Note it says lawmakers who are new parents. So right here, last month, Luna, that's Anna Paulina Luna, who generally I like, secured the required 218 signatures to a parliamentary tool known as a discharge petition, forced a vote on a bill to allow proxy voting for new moms, pregnant women who were unable to travel safely or have a serious medical condition, and lawmakers whose spouses are pregnant or giving birth. So that's potentially anybody, except it's not everybody. So what you're looking at here on the face of it is a provision that is violative of the 14th Amendment because you're carving out a special privilege for a particularly identified class of people. That by itself is reason enough to say, no, this is bullshit. But here's the real problem. First, it was safe, legal, and rare, and now it's shout your abortion. First, it was two consenting adults in the privacy of their own bedroom, and now it's
Give me your children.
give me your children because we need to mutilate them. Date me, bigot, is what we've come to. So the point being, the slippery slope is real. What they've done here is they've instituted a provision by which nobody's ever going to show up to work again.
That's where it will go. Yeah, it's
Right?
that's what Mike Johnson was saying. He's like basically, this basically opens the door to our worst impulses during the COVID regime. All right, and he is right in that regards. Also, Anna Paulina Luna, she's no, she's not a good representative. Okay, she's not good at all.
No,
The
she
woman,
wins
woman,
votes because
woman
she's hot.
she's a drama factory. Okay, she's an absolute drama factory. Like 90% of her staff in her office have in fact quit. Okay, because she basically calls them at 3 a.m., makes demands. She's just a complete turbo bitch. Okay, that's why it's one of the
Turbo
reasons
bitch.
you shouldn't vote. Don't vote for women. Okay, and especially don't vote for hot chicks. Okay, hot chicks hot chicks feel that they have hot chicks have a sense of entitlement. Okay, hot chicks feel that the attention should be focused on them. All right, hot chicks will treat Congress like they will their Instagram accounts. All right, they're basically drama factories. So if you have to vote for a woman, vote for one. Here's your credentials. All right,
Oh,
one,
here's your credentials.
she must have. There you go. One, she must have children. Okay, you cannot vote for childless women. Right. That's what destroyed Germany with Angela Merkel. All right, that's what almost destroyed the UK with Theresa May. Okay, that's what. Oh, there's another great example of a childless gas bag. Anyway, and also vote for a older woman. Okay, and she's basically hopefully postmenopausal. Okay, who is a mother or grandmother. That's your ideal female candidate. Never vote for hot chicks. Okay, the level of drama that a woman is going to generate is directly proportional to her self esteem based on her physical beauty. All right, so that's basically it.
Yeah, and guys, I hate to be I hate to be the guy that's going to burst the balloon because we've got a lot of smoking hot little representatives and politicians in the GOP. Like, well, I mean, let's be fair. The left, the closest they get to a good looking woman is AOC, which is basically a horse head mounted to a set of titties. Um, we kind of own the hot chick rep vibe, but I mean, which one can you point to that hasn't been a drama factory? I mean, I love Marjorie Taylor Greene for her policy positions, but she
Drama
has
factory.
been a drama factory, right? Um, you you're going to have a hard time finding a male GOP rep that's out there talking about Jew lasers on frickin' audio recording and getting busted out for it. If that's the thing he believes, he's at least smart enough to be politic about it and keep that shit under his hat before somebody can make a deal out of it. But the real problem here, God, the Tea Party, no taxation without representation. Now all of a sudden, what you've got is a situation where there will be additional carve-outs, and the result is going to be that they feel like they can no longer show up to Congress. So I mentioned MTG. I said I like her policies, and I do. She's done some good stuff. Probably the best and coolest thing that MTG did, that Marjorie Taylor Greene did. She and a handful of others, but she kind of spearheaded that maneuver. Um, the way it works in Congress is they bring up votes when there is a friendly distribution of present voters, right? So not every rep votes on every bill. They'll bring up a bill when there's the right mix of reps to get the bill passed. And Marjorie Taylor Greene figured that shit out, figured out that they were doing that crap, and said, "Oh no, no, no," because they'll bring it in kind of on the quiet. And so what she did is she put together a group of Republicans who made it a point to always keep a body in the chamber. If there's anybody in there and a vote might be called, there's one of the guys in this group in that chamber. And they were working in teams of two, so that if somebody had to go to the bathroom, for example, right, just like pulling security, Mario, right? If you got to go hit the head, you got to go take a leak. You hand your rifle off to your battle buddy, and he stands guard and holds both rifles until you get out of the bathroom, so that you don't lean it up against the side of the outhouse where any random Haji can come by and steal your gun. No, your battle buddy holds your rifle and maintains physical security. So what they did is they kept a body in the chamber so that anytime a vote comes up, they can call, because every rep has the right to do this, they can demand a roll call vote, which means that everybody has to report in and vote, or the vote didn't happen, right? So with this remote voting thing, here's what needs to happen now. And if I can get in touch with anybody, anybody in a position to make this maneuver, this is something that I'm going to be working on now. I'm going to start writing letters. You guys need to as well. Start writing letters to your representatives. Say, okay, cool, fine. We're going to go to remote voting. Here's the deal. If remote voting exists, if you can vote from anywhere you
vote, you're expelled from Congress.
If you can vote from anywhere you want to, then all votes on all bills are mandatory.
Yeah.
And Mario, I'll do you one better. Instead of if you miss a vote, you're expelled from Congress. No. All votes are roll call votes. If you're voting remote, if you can vote remotely, then all votes are now roll call votes without exception. And any vote that doesn't have 100% of the House of Representatives voting
is null.
Has not been voted on. It is as if the vote never happened. It is unresolved until 100% have voted.
Well, that would open up a new avenue for parliamentary tricks. Okay, where what would happen is you would see Democrats and potentially Republicans intentionally having a no-show. Okay, just to impede progress. Okay?
Exactly.
That's exactly where that would go.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So you would have a Congress that could literally do nothing. Effectively.
Yes. I am John Galt.
Yeah,
we will stop the engine of the world.
I know where you're going with that, but yep. Well, so
hey brother, I'm a firm believer in the principles that stupid should hurt, and when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Yeah, there would have to be a punishment for missing the vote, though. It wouldn't just be what we changed quorum rules to 100%. You know what I mean? There'd have to be some measure to prevent those games. Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene, sure, I hear everything you're saying, right? And yeah, I get that's your representative, W.T. Lowry. Not sure exactly who that is, but
that's we'll call him my cousin.
Okay. But she takes the bait from that Jasmine Crockett woman. You know the black congresswoman who looks exactly like the black female Wojak meme. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, she can't stop taking the bait every time
yeah,
there's a black
Crockett,
woman in
Crockett,
principle.
the ultimate black racist.
Yes, or the ultimate stereotype.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. Might as well scream out "World Star" every time she takes the bait. Bitches beat Ratchet. So
Damn son.
yeah,
So,
W.T. Lowry agrees. More opportunity for freaking political games. Yes,
yep.
100%.
But unless I'm missing something, the political game that's there to be played is the one where everything gets shut down and ground to a halt. And I'm good with that. I'm very good with the government just not doing anything else ever again.
Given how little
I
time,
would prefer a completely gridlocked government
yeah,
to abolishing the government.
yeah, I remember that basic principle from political science class. Okay, uh, where basically the idea is that you should want the government to be as gridlocked and ineffective and incapable of passing legislation as possible, because the less the government is able to do, then in principle the freer you are. Okay, and yeah, that is true, but when you're living under a regime where there's already so much basically artificial oppression placed on you, whether in how you in your speech, in your actions, and how you do business, okay, then it really does necessitate Congress has to fix its own problem. You know what I mean? There is no there is no governmental solution within the Constitution to basically un-F something that the Congress has effed up. Like, I mean, other than the Supreme Court simply saying it's unconstitutional, but bad, horrible ideas are not unconstitutional. You know what I mean? So it really does require Congress to fix Congress, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unless I'm off the mark completely, but that's the way I see it.
No, I think you're dead on there.
Hmm.
Um so and like I said, we were starting with that. I I think I pretty much covered what I wanted to cover. And make no mistake, guys, like we've said before, the slippery slope is not a you're taught in school that the slippery slope argument is a logical fallacy. It's not. It is it's a better guarantor of the future than all the chicken guts you can dump out on the table.
Chicken auger, right? And the number the most the most relevant example of why it is not a fallacy, okay, was the LGBT movement, as Lowry discussed earlier. Okay, um, so yeah, not a fallacy. I think it was originally thought to be a fallacy. Okay, but unfortunately, empirical studies have proven that humans are stupider than previously anticipated. So no, it's real.
The bitch about it is, it appears that what really happens is, as soon as you find yourself on a slippery slope, the humans get stupider than you expected them to have already been. They become increasingly stupider.
Yeah, it's like the crazy hot matrix, where it's like
Yeah,
the worse the situation, the stupider people get. It's
yeah. It's
I
we
guess yeah.
could probably draw up a matrix to go along with this one that explains the principle that we're discussing. But yeah,
But the big issue is what Luna did is basically shut down the Senate, or no, sorry, she shut down the House for the rest of the week. Okay, because Mike Johnson was just like, okay, you guys don't want to play, fuck it, I'm going home. So they shut down the House for a week, and this is while there is legislation actually pending that's going to help tackle the 30-something injunctions by 30 radical judges currently placed on the Trump administration. All right, so
yeah.
basically
And I'm
nothing's
sorry.
going to
I'm
get
sorry that we
resolved.
kind of underplayed that, undersold that, the importance of that in covering this bit. Uh, but Mario's absolutely right. Basically, Luna just gave a free pass to these activist radical judges
Yeah,
who
to
are
basically
essentially conducting a coup against the administrative force.
yeah, it basically gave the termites a 1 week extension on just munching away at the banisters. All right, while no one does anything. So yeah, it's Oh, what was I going to say? I hate this. Maybe I need to start drinking again. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, let's go ahead and pivot to the tariffs, because we're going to end up talking about the activist judges more next week, uh, as the votes come back, as the votes get back in order and start moving forward.
Oh, I
We'll
know what I was
definitely
going
be
to say.
back on that conversation. Okay, go ahead,
Yeah,
and then I'll
closing on that.
finish
Right. So
tariffs.
basically, the Supreme Court is going to have to make some kind of like basically expansive declaration. Okay, that essentially will limit. Okay, or hobble or add additional requirements, right, on federal judges issuing these injunctions on basically to shut down the executive branch and thereby shut down the country. All right. Um, I'm not sure exactly what they're going to do, but the point they have to address it. And if it doesn't come out in the administration's favor, if they basically, if Justice Roberts, uh, Amy Coney Barrett, and the three liberal justices decide to
You mean the five
effectively,
liberal justices?
yeah, the five liberal justices, if they decide to basically let the status quo remain as is, where federal injunctions can just come at the stroke of a pen, essentially shutting down the executive branch's ability to govern or exercise the mandate it received in the election. Trump should just resign. Why not just resign?
No,
Tell,
he
tell
should.
the
If
American people, tell the American people, it doesn't matter who you vote for. It doesn't matter what you want. The system is layered. The system is complex. The system will defend itself, and you are not allowed to implement change. There'll be no change in your life. Your lives will progressively get worse and worse, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's why I'm resigning, and that's why you should seek
act accordingly.
act accordingly. Seek separate measures, okay, to protect yourself from the federal government. You want to talk about accelerationism? That would be
Yeah, we went soapbox,
hmm?
ballot box.
Yeah,
We wanted the ballot, and it
hmm?
didn't matter.
Yeah. Trump
You're
basically
running out
telling
of
the American
boxes.
Yeah, Trump could basically tell the American public, like, hey, I'm just confirming what you already know. The game's rigged. Act accordingly. You will get no justice here in Washington D.C. So I don't know. I guess that's the political nuclear option. If the Supreme Court will not help rein in these activist judges. So
Now, in fairness, I don't expect the Supreme Court to do it precisely because of the five liberal justices, like you just mentioned. However, the option that Trump will have on his plate that is not as nuclear as that will be to say, "I have heard the court's opinion. Now let them enforce it."
well,
To go straight Andrew Jackson, and then you'll see an actual constitutional crisis because that will essentially be tearing the mask off and saying, "Hey, look, guys, the courts have no authority because they have no enforcement power."
if he does that, then in 2028, after the Democrats basically gain seats, because they're going to anyway. That's simply how this pendulum works. Because I, I, I think I've made it clear. I don't believe in democracy. All right, I've said it several times on this show. But most likely, when the Democrats take the House back in 2028, all right, because the people will have been whipped up into hysteria, being presented with the Trump administration's actions in the worst possible tinted glasses, and the stupid people fall for it again, just like they did in Wisconsin this week. Then Trump will be impeached, and he probably will be removed from office this time. So
Yeah,
that's what'll happen. That's my prediction.
yeah. Well, I mean, the impeachment has been cheapened into a mere political tool, just
Yeah.
just like these injunctions. I don't know if you're tracking on the stats on these injunctions, Mario, but in the 20th century, as in 1900 to
Yeah.
1999, there
Correct.
were 26 of these quote universal injunctions,
Yeah, it's a quadratic curve. Just
right?
skyrocket.
And then there were none. And then in Trump's first term, there were 84 against Donald Trump.
Hmm.
There have been 36 more in this first 2 months of his first term.
Yep.
Right. So there have been 5 times as many of these injunctions against Donald Trump as there have been against all other presidents combined.
Yeah.
So just like the impeachment process, it has been cheapened and converted from a theoretically legitimate power of checks and balances into a mere political tool, which no longer has the legitimacy of a check on power because it has no legitimacy at all. Right? If you eat fucking chocolate cake for breakfast every morning, it's not special.
Yeah, it's it's diabetes.
So, uh,
W.T. Lowry states from Mike Benz, Chief Justice John Roberts spent a week living at Norm
Norm
Eisen's
Ison's,
Palace in Czech Republic, where they worked on American and European rule of law issues together. When was this? And by Norm Eisen, do you mean the color revolution architect, the activist, the basically the Soros tier, um, international activist, or basically, um,
yes,
yes, color revolution architect. The guy responsible for well, ultimately the war in Ukraine, effectively. I hadn't heard about that. I've always assumed Justice Roberts was compromised. Okay, I forget what it was, but he made a decision during the first Trump administration that I simply couldn't believe. Or when he passed, he actually rewrote a portion of the Affordable Care Act and basically passed Nancy Pelosi's or validated Nancy Pelosi's Obamacare. Okay, essentially giving it a D minus grade, but passing it regardless.
right.
Yeah, that was your tell from John Roberts.
Well, even the Obergefell thing, the Supreme Court could have simply said, you know what, gay marriage is legal because the Constitution doesn't offer any authority over the institution of marriage whatsoever, and so we don't have the authority to forbid gay marriage. But instead, Roberts took it a step further and said, no, we're going to legislate affirmative actions. And it's not just that you're allowed to get married if you're gay, but anybody who performs marriages is now compelled by law to perform your marriage and not allowed to refuse to participate in your diversion.
Yeah, there's a famous internet photo. Okay, you can find it where it shows Chief John Roberts, a younger John Roberts, basically hanging out with Giselle Maxwell. So I assume there's a connection there. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure John Roberts is Epstein. Okay, because that's how Washington D.C. works. It's a game of blackmail. All right, it's who has compromise on who, and that's what dictates policy. Because people can't stop doing drugs and sticking their naughty bits where they don't belong. Because, well, Washington Congress is basically it's high school. Okay, except with more drugs.
Yeah, and Tim points out that he's a Democrat appointee, one of Bush's guys.
Yeah, yeah, and he was appointed to replace Rehnquist, okay, as Chief Justice. Instead of taking making a chief justice from the existing justices, okay, no, they brought in a guy specifically to be the chief justice, and that was John Roberts, and he was a
Yeah,
very young at
nothing
the
shady
time.
about that at all.
Yeah, and there wasn't really any pushback from the Democrats,
Right.
like, at all. The guy just sailed right through.
No,
That's how
because
you
okay,
tell.
but believe it or not, we look back on him and Bush, we got a lot of criticisms of Bush, right? And I didn't like Bush. I never voted for Bush. The first time I was old enough to vote was Bush's reelection. And I said, I can't do it. His eyes are too close together. Can't trust him. He looks like a rat, right? I don't like him. And there were a lot of other reasons I didn't like Bush, largely because he's always been a Democrat, and and he said it. I'm a compassionate conservative. Oh, you mean you're a communist? You know what? One of the easiest ways to spot a communist is when they start playing word games and trying to manipulate language to mean things that they're not saying, right? But because of that, because Bush was a Democrat who called himself a Republican before mass communication was in everybody's pocket with a cell phone, he was actually a very popular president while he was president. He said the right things at the right time. We made fun of him for gaffes here and there. The mission accomplished thing was a big PR uh, flub, but really only because somebody was smart enough to latch onto it and twist what it meant. But Bush was and is a Democrat, right? Bush the Lesser is not his father. And his father was barely a passable Republican to begin with.
He was a glowy.
Yeah,
He was glowy.
that's what I said. A barely passable Republican.
George H.W. Bush is in fact a product of the system.
I mean, let's be fair. We grew these beards to kind of tamp down our shine, but Bush Senior was a show enough. I mean, glow worm.
Yeah, he was the head of the CIA. Okay, I mean, that might be a, I don't know, deep dive into George H.W. Bush. That might be a potential Saturday program, but we got other topics to address first. Yeah, I mean, when you see Congress give bipartisan support to anything, you can be assured it means one of two things: either a blank check for Israel, number one, or two, business, basically finance and government have found a new way to screw you, the American.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what bipartisan is. So, and that's what.
So you just said the same thing twice.
Yeah, and basically, I mean, yep.
Okay. So I don't have a good segue, so we're just going to pop on to tariffs. Futures tumble as President Trump delivers Declaration of Economic Independence. Okay. You are going to be bombarded with propaganda about this stuff, and you may see some increase in prices in the short term. Maybe. And even that's not a guarantee. High possibility. But let me help you understand. Good God, excuse me. Okay, we're going to get past this pollen thing before too long, I hope. Jesus.
Chris Lowry, exorcism live on air.
Just straight up pea soup. You bowl and some ham bits. One of these days, Mario, I'm going to make you sneeze coffee all over that little microphone of yours.
If you saw this laptop, it's damaged enough. I'm hard on computers, man. I type like a freaking caveman. I mean, when I say I'm a Luddite, I'm not joking. Like I'm one of those people who never learned to type without looking at the keys. Okay, I'm literally.
I type so much and so hard. I had to buy a durable extra.
Oh man, you got like one of those tranny My Little Pony freaking keyboards. Holy shit, dude!
Oh, I mean
is it a rainbow?
Backlight.
It's
got the. You know what? I don't know how to change that function. I had.
Oh man.
My other keyboard lights up in a pattern when you hit it. But these are high-end, durable. Like they're designed to take abuse.
For those who don't know Lowry personally, okay, everyone has vices, okay. For some men it's women, for some men it's alcohol, for some men it's just gluttony, okay. Others, unfortunately, the harder drugs. Lowry's vice is when he sees electronic crap that's a novelty, he can't help himself. Electronic devices that he never thought he needed that cost $50 or less, Lowry can't help himself.
No, Mario.
Take his money. Shut
You're
up.
wrong.
Money.
You're wrong.
Oh, he's
You're
graduated
wrong.
into higher dollar
No,
items
it's
now.
much, yeah, it's much worse than that. I literally own a fleet of drones.
Well, at least they're usable. I
Don't
mean,
get me wrong. I make
yeah,
money with the toys I buy, most of them. I mean, but yeah, the expensive electronic toys, they're all about making money. Uh, or art. Sometimes I don't make money off art, but I don't own a single camera or microphone that I've never used in a paying production.
there, there you go. You know,
Well, no, there's this one. This one, because this was only ever used for the YouTube channel before we were, between the periods after we were monetized, and I haven't used it since we got to the creator program. So I have a microphone here that's never made any money. I should mail it to you. I keep meaning to.
yeah. Send it to me.
Anyway, tariffs. So you're going to get bombarded with a bunch of fake news and misinformation about tariffs, and I've covered this in detail before. I'm going to brush over it right now so that you kind of get a sense of it. Throughout the last campaign, one of the big talking points from the left, from the Kamala Harris campaign, was that Donald Trump would institute a national sales tax and increase the costs of all your products. Now, keep in mind, at the same time she was saying this, she was also saying we're going to make the big companies pay their fair share by increasing corporate taxes. So let me clue you in real quick on what those two things mean. First, the tariffs. A tariff is a charge that is applied at the point of entry. Okay? So you're making a product in country A. It has the costs that it has, and then you calculate for your profit margin. And then tariff is applied when you enter the country that charges the tariff. So you build a car in China, you want to sell it in America, you pay a tariff on the car when it enters the United States. And yes, the amount of that tariff, like all taxes, is calculated as a part of the price that the end consumer will pay. Anytime you take a government cut of the money that a corporation is spending, the corporation necessarily takes that money from the consumer. The Democrats love to talk about implementing corporate taxes, make them pay their fair share. It is metaphysically impossible to force a corporation, a conglomerated entity, to pay taxes. All taxes, without exception, are paid by the individual, the end consumer, right? So the key difference you need to understand between a tariff and a corporate tax. Let's say you got a 25% tariff, and I'm going to use these numbers are not even correct. I'm using broad numbers to illustrate the point,
Yep.
so that you understand where the money is placed. Because without stretching this into a 3-hour program, that's the only way to help you understand it. So the tariff, 25% tariff, it's applied at the port. That increases the price of your product by 25%, for the sake of argument, for the sake of the conversation.
Right.
And that's the place where the price is increased one time. Now, a corporate tax. There is a company, which is an import-export company, that is going to pay that increased corporate tax when the foreign product enters the country. And then, again, when they sell that product to a warehouser, to a wholesaler, a distributor. And then another tax is added when it's sold to the retailer. 25% plus 25% plus 25% plus 25%. And every time that additional tax is added as it goes down the line, right, even if it's only 1 or 2%, the tariff increased the price at one point. With the corporate tax, the price is being increased by the percent of the corporate tax, not on the original price, but on the new tax reflecting price. So the product comes in. This is for your foreign products that are being imported, right? I'll get to domestic products in just a moment because this is where the difference really matters. Product comes in. Let's say there's no taxes in China at all. It hits the port, and it's a 10% increase. So you got a $1 product, now it's $1.10. And then it goes to the wholesaler. And now the tax on it is 10% of $1.10. Oh, that's 11 cents. That's a little more, isn't it?
Yep.
And now the next time the 10% is a tax is applied, it's being applied to a product that's $1.21. Right? And so on and so on, through every point in the logistics chain before it gets to you. So that's where the foreign product, where it's concerned with foreign products. So on foreign products, a 25% tariff is less substantial than a significantly increased corporate tax. Now let's talk about domestic products. At the ground where the raw material is collected, the tax hits. That increases the price from the raw material to the manufacturer. And then they get taxed again. That increases the price again, and it's an increase on an increased price, right? Think about your paycheck. You get paid, you pay income tax. Then you go to buy something, you pay gas tax, which is a tax that you're paying on money that you've already paid taxes on. To get to the grocery store where you buy groceries, where you pay a sales tax on money that you've now already been taxed twice on. And that's without talking about all the other taxes that you had to pay just by dint of having money. Now that's happening in the corporate realm with those products. So your domestic products, you've got the acquisition of raw material, manufacture, distribution, retail, and then you finally buy it. In a very basic, crude model, you're talking about that item being taxed 5 times before it gets to you.
Yeah.
Now, in reality, you've got raw material to, let's say you're talking about something like a television, to a dozen or 24 different manufacturers that make the individual parts, and then all those. So it's been increased across that many times, and then all those parts go to a manufacturer, an assembly line to be put together into a television, and then it goes to packaging, and then it goes to marketing, and then it goes to distribution, and then it goes to retail. And that's with the increase in corporate tax on domestic products. Now, how do tariffs work? How do tariffs work as far as increasing the price of domestic products? Where does the tariff happen?
At customs.
It doesn't. Domestic products. Right? So I just talked about how the foreign products, the tariff only happens at the port of entry versus the corporate tax where the tariff happens at the port of entry and everywhere along the line because you've got the corporations involved.
Yep.
So the difference between the Republican plan to increase the cost of foreign goods coming into the country and not touch domestic products at all, it's not just that the Democrat plan to increase corporate taxes increases the taxes on all your domestic products. It also increases by a larger margin the price on all your foreign goods. So you've got the Democrat plan, raise all prices, versus the Republican plan, which is raise prices on foreign goods in order to give American companies a competitive advantage. And this goes a step further. Here's a knock-on effect that's not being discussed yet. And this is a huge opportunity for sharp young entrepreneurs with a little bit of capital to back out of, or to move forward with. Good God. The rule is the tariffs will be applied to products which are produced in foreign countries and for which there is a domestic competitor. So if there's a product that you need that just isn't made in America, no tariff.
Yep.
price remains stable. In fact, that price will probably go down because you'll see a focus shift to those products. If you're making something, if there's maybe Germany's the only place that makes watches anymore, just hypothetically, they will shift their focus to the product that Americans purchase, and it will reshape the economy of these foreign countries. They will start making production and government incentive decisions based on serving the American market. Because make no mistake, this is the market. The United States of America is the only market that matters in the world. If America stops buying products
Here, let
from
me
any other country, hang on just a second. If America stops buying products from any other country for any reason, then the economies of those countries are not sufficient to to continue to operate by selling products to their own citizens. They collapse. They're entirely subsidized by U.S. economic activity and the tariffs that they are charging against us. And we haven't even gotten to that bit yet, but we will. And so let me just put a button on this real quick, Mario, before I break off for you. The big opportunity here is if you look and identify industries where there is no tariff because there is no American competitor to the foreign producer, then you're in a position to say, okay, I'll start making the widget. I'll go ahead and invest, build a factory, and start making the widget here. And then I'll call the Donald and say, yo, Donald, that thing that we're not charging tariffs against right now because nobody in America made it, yo, I'm in America and I just started making the product. Shut those Chinamen down. There's a huge opportunity here for American entrepreneurism. It's beautiful.
dude, I believe the preferred nomenclature is a Chinese person. Um, Big Lebowski. Anyway, all right. So, right.
Oh no, I'm familiar.
Yeah. So right, so this basically it will increase opportunities for basic domestic industries, okay, that want to start producing things that we haven't produced in a while. All right. Now the overall geopolitical like kind of paradigm here that's existed since 1991, since the end of the Cold War, has been that yes, like you said, the the U.S. economy will be the world's marketplace, okay, and we will give other countries basically preferential treatment, allow them to basically give an unfair balance, allow other countries to tariff our goods, and allow them basically free trade, okay, or like minimum restricted trade within our economy, because our economy is essentially the global economy, right? Um, and basically that's what caused globalism, okay? Or at least the globalism that we've understood since the 1990s, and then and took off dramatically after 9/11, right? Um, the idea is United States is the world's marketplace. You can game the system to benefit your country at our expense, and you will trade in U.S. dollars. That is the post Cold War deal. All right, um, and that worked for a long time, at least for for corporate America. All right, and for the United States government, which basically taxed those corporations, and for the politicians who took the kickbacks from those multinational corporations. Okay, multinational corporations, not American businesses. I mean corporations that essentially are bound by no nation. So that's been the rule.
The U.S. dollar is essentially the golden egg, and the Democrats are trying to cut the goose open to get more of them.
Well, I think both sides realize that basically the jig is up on the U.S. dollar, and we're just trying to jockey to get ahead of it, to get ahead of the collapse.
Right,
Okay.
our term is over. We have to leave the White House. It's time to steal the silverware on the way out the door.
You could put it that way, yeah. So, you want to pull up the chart for the
Yes.
yeah, just the first one's all you matter because they're listed in by trade volume. Okay, yeah, that one right there. All right, so everyone can see that. So the chart on the left in blue, all right, that is the tariff that they charge us on our goods. And if you look to the right, that's what, as of yesterday, that's what we are charging reciprocally, all right, um, in in return for what they're charging us. So basically, we're we're not even going one for one here. Okay, we're going
No,
half. Okay,
it's 51%, or
yeah,
it's half plus one.
yeah, 51%
Ooh,
basically response to whatever they're charging on us. All right, so let's just look at this chart. Let's see what does this mean though. So Larry talked about it, and
I love you.
he explained it well. Okay, but what does it really mean for you, like the consumer on the ground level, right? Okay, so China, 34% tariff on that. So yes,
I just
there
missed
will
the way he says China.
China. Yeah, there will be an increase in the price of basically cheap Chinese goods. Okay, you could look at this and basically it's Walmart. Walmart just got more expensive. Okay, if you really want to like boil it down to what impact this will have on the average person's life, okay, these tariffs is the basically shit at Walmart will be priced more in accordance with what it should be what it should be priced at. Okay,
And it's
so the days of $5
shit at
mango dish.
Walmart. It's
What?
shit at Walmart. It's not the
Yeah,
grocery aisle
stuff
that's
you don't need.
yeah. It's not the grocery aisle that's going up.
Yeah,
It's the rest of the store. You know that 90. I think they said it was 95% of all non-grocery SKUs right in Walmart are made in China.
yeah. China basically imports cheap conspicuous consumption, from China to America. All right. Um, so yeah, stuff at Walmart basically is going to get more expensive across the board. European Union, 20%. Um, Basically high-end food items, all right, certain luxury items and commodities, all right. Those you'll see an increase in that. So I mean, bottom line, European cars got more expensive. Okay, Volkswagens, BMWs, Mercedes, etc. All right, Jaguars. If you like European car brands, you're going to have to pay more for that. All right, and if it's if it's a domestic producer, Ford, General Motors, whatever, and they're producing that vehicle overseas, then that's going to get more expensive as well. So vehicles that are manufactured in Ohio and Michigan still, those ones are going to be the smart purchase.
Yeah, and so
Assuming they build them where they don't fall apart in
you
3 years.
mentioned the vehicles. Let's touch on that for a minute because the American auto workers and a lot of trade unions went heavy for Trump in this last election,
Yeah,
right? And notoriously, you'll remember that the leaders in those organizations came out and said that basically we had a vote among our membership on who we should endorse, and because of the results of that vote, we've determined that as unions we're not going to endorse anybody. Which
yeah.
I mean, they might as well have just said that we endorse Donald Trump, but they didn't want to say that they endorsed Donald Trump.
Well, they certainly stated we don't support the status quo, which is
And
effectively
correct.
we support Trump.
So
Yeah,
the trade union members, by a wide majority, supported Donald Trump, and it is precisely because, in large part, the unions, and this includes the union leadership, see the writing on the wall, and they believe that these tariffs are going to increase the number of people who are in union trade occupations and professions, right? You can follow the money, ask Key Bono. Corrupt union officials are supporting tariffs because they believe that the tariffs will onshore labor. And you don't have to say, oh, well, they're doing it because they believe it's going to be good for their workers. You can look at the selfish motivation,
yeah,
right? You're talking about people who want to increase the number, the number and the amount of union dues that they're getting paid, and the only way to do that is to increase the number of members paying dues. And they believe that these tariffs will do that, which is to say that they believe that by putting tariffs on products that we used to own the market on,
yeah.
right? Motor City,
Or even invented.
or yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's hard to point to a thing other than the internal combustion engine and the personal transportation vehicle, the car, It's very difficult to point to another thing that changed the world so dramatically,
That didn't come from America.
right?
Consumer electronics, America. Automobile, America. Okay.
Yeah, you have to go all the way back to the Gutenberg press.
Effectively, electricity, America. So yeah, of course.
And I mean,
So back to the chart.
the modern world, which has no one dying of starvation without corrupt external influence, America and capitalism. You're welcome. Um, so yeah, the trade unions believe that these tariffs will be good for union jobs. That right there is a major indicator on what the general thinking is and the analytics
Yep.
on these tariffs broadly.
Right. So, all right, Vietnam. Would you look at the Vietnam charges us 90% tariff on our goods in Vietnam. Okay, they must have had some sweetheart deal with with previous administrations. All right, where basically they got like the sweetest economic deal possible because we wanted to like divest from China and start basically doing our cheap manufacturing in Vietnam. I guarantee that that's where that 90% comes from, and I have read or basically I've seen just cursory reports that Vietnam is in fact dropping some of its tariffs on us. Okay, because yeah, that 90% looks completely artificial. So Vietnam is dropping in response, and as because it is reciprocal tariffs, our tariff with them will drop in response to it. Okay,
Correct.
so that number will change. That number is going to change faster than anything else you see. Okay, they'll be the Vietnam will be the first to make a deal with Trump. So what do we get from Vietnam? Basically, electronic components and less expensive electronic goods. Okay, like
Right.
the non premier electronic goods that you see
And I'm glad you
in stores.
mentioned. I'm glad you mentioned that. There's a couple things I want to talk about on electronic components, and likewise on just things like steel production,
We
fuel
haven't got to
production,
Taiwan yet.
etc.
Taiwan's next, but okay.
Um, yes. So Taiwan's the next one on the list. So go ahead with Taiwan, and then I'll dig into the point that I was about to make.
So right, Taiwan, 32%. Taiwan is very protectionist. Okay, they're very much a mercantile state. All right, where their life's blood is effectively their entire economy is based on selling products overseas. Okay, without that, they're dead. Okay, not literally and metaphorically. Okay, because they would be with if they were not such a huge economic engine. All right, globalist economic engine. All right, then China would have overtaken them through soft power already. Okay,
Yeah.
that's how they survive. They survive by manufacturing the primarily very, very high end computer chips and computer components. All right.
The
Uh,
superconductors.
the
No, like that's the
superconductors.
biggest thing is the
Yeah.
superconductors,
Yeah.
and that's one of those things where there's not an American competitor. There's not an American
That's precisely what I
company
was going to say. That's
producing
precisely what I was
those
going to say.
items. So you're not
There
going
is
to
not.
see a huge increase because of the superconductors because
Right.
there's not an American competitor to justify a tariff. That
Exactly.
said, we and this is I think this is part of Trump's thinking on this. This should incentivize an American company to start producing superconductors. And now
Yes.
we're into why this isn't just a question of economics.
Yep. Now it's national security. Exactly. Okay. Now, hopefully, they do a better job with it.
As we stand right now, between steel production and electronic components, because y'all trust me,
And
like
aluminum.
Mario and I, speaking from experience, uh, modern warfare as of 15 years ago was wholly dependent on our ability to source and utilize complex electronic devices. None of those are wholly manufactured in the United States.
No.
We are, at present, despite having the strongest military in the world, what we have is not the most sustainable military in the world. And I'm not talking about some green nonsense bullshit about, composting our dead soldiers or something. No. What I'm talking about is we cannot produce our military equipment wholly within the United States in the current configuration of our economic structure. And so, if we find ourselves in a legitimate World War III, China or Taiwan or a few others can simply say, you know what, shut it down. America gets no more raw material, and now we just have to sit back and
Worse.
wait for them to run out of bullets, basically.
Could be even worse. Okay,
Yes.
because there have been reports, okay, going back at least 2 decades, of basically of computer components used in U.S. military hardware that have backdoors to Chinese, basically to the Chinese government. All right. Um,
Yeah,
so
the DJI drones.
yeah, it very well could be that China has an edge on us in regards to the fact that they have either directly or indirectly manufactured critical components within our military equipment. Basically, it's the same thing that we do when we sell military equipment to basically to allied nations or partner nations. We build in back doors, okay, into that military equipment, and we have kill switches for it. Okay, if Saudi Arabia were to go basically full Wahhabi jihad one day, lose their absolute minds, and start rolling into Jordan, okay, basically to conquer the country, we could simply press a button in the Pentagon and it would shut down all the Abrams. Okay, it would shut down the F-16s. So we have that capacity. So if China has a similar capacity over us and we're not aware of it or we don't know the extent of it, in the event of a full blown conflict with China, you could see the Seventh Fleet essentially being lost, not through being bombarded or
Yeah,
basically
ask yourself
torpedoed,
if you trust the
but through basically
manufacturer
just
that
being
made.
disabled.
Yeah, ask yourself, do you trust the manufacturer that made your pager?
Good one. I like that. All right. So yeah, Taiwan.
Real
Yeah,
quick on the
hopefully.
national security thing, here's the other side of that. If America starts producing superconductors, China's interest in Taiwan evaporates.
Become well, yeah, right. If you the way it's established right now, see, this is the problem with freaking globalism. Okay, they built a world where basically the United States, where everyone, okay, it's not really everyone, but the concept where everybody is interdependent on everyone. Okay,
Right.
so this is going to make sure that there's peace and security abroad because no one wants to upset the apple cart because everyone will be punished. Okay, this goes back into the post Cold War, the end of history, all right, concept, the idea that we had entered a new paradigm where basically major
Yeah,
historic events no
the
longer had
global
an effect to
economic
affect
order.
the fate of the world. Okay, that was the idea at the end of the Cold War. That is in fact not the case. um, Russia primarily has proven that is not the case through doing the unthinkable and invading Ukraine. Well, it's not really unthinkable, and we've talked about that at length, but
Right.
that's not this show. All right, so
It's
anyway,
it's
that's where
it's
we are.
it's less the unthinkable and more the obvious conclusion.
Exactly. Yeah, history is very real, and the sands of time are going to keep slipping, and the wheel of history is going to keep turning. So, all right, so that's Taiwan. Major national security implications there, and like Lowry said, there are many products coming from Taiwan that will be
Yeah.
exempt from these
You
tariffs.
mentioned the wheel of history, Mario. Did you ever watch the show Firefly? Yeah, you watched it with us.
I did a little bit at DLI.
There's a great scene where this guy, they're privateers. They're doing a job for this guy that's basically a crooked local mayor, right? So of course he's wealthy and powerful and influential, and he screws over our heroes. And our hero, the plucky Captain Malcolm Reynolds, looks at him and he says, "The wheel keeps turning." And the crooked wealthy mayor says, "That only matters to the people on the rim."
Yeah. Wow.
And
Wow.
yeah, yeah, the wheel does keep turning, and it keeps rolling over, and it will continue to crush the people who don't live in Central City, where you get a special colored drink to sip on to make you vomit, so you can continue to eat more and more food that you intend to throw up anyway,
Oh,
because you're a
they,
bulimic parasite.
they had the late Roman vomitorium culture going on. Okay, I don't remember that part. I remember you guys watched that show, and I remember I didn't have a word for it at the time, but I thought you guys were all soy boys because you got super excited about some fiction or whatever. But I was an asshole, so it's not
You were, and
it's
you
my fault.
missed the
I
glory.
was wrong.
You
Okay, I
missed
was
the
wrong.
glory of the sci-fi libertarian space cowboy western pirate.
I despise, and I still dislike anything written by Josh Whedon. I don't like Josh Whedon. I don't like the way he writes. I don't like any of it. I hate Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Okay, despise it. I don't like writing that's too cute. Okay, for my liking. Okay, it's too glib, too flippant, too witty. Okay, I hate it. It's unnatural. People don't talk like that. When I listen to something, I know if something's written by John Whedon because I can feel my blood boiling. I start getting angry. That's right. I fucking hate
Excellent.
Josh Whedon. All right, let that be known. Anyway, moving on. Japan. Japan and South Korea are probably if I had to choose two of the biggest losers, okay, today, as a result of these new not sanctions of tariffs, it would be
Sanctions,
Japan
God, I wish.
sanction. Yeah, so Japan and South Korea right now, what do we get from them? Quite a bit, okay. So commercial electronics, okay, automobiles, and basically high end commercial electronics and automobiles, right? And there's a lot of products. We're not just talking. We're not talking we're talking TVs, dishwashers, washing machines. Okay, major consumer appliances. All right.
That
Um,
talk to you and order groceries on your behalf.
yeah, my the tankless hot water heater. Okay, here in my house is made in Japan. All right. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and most of that
When
stuff.
my hot water heater fails, by the way, I'm going tankless.
Mhm. Yeah, and so a lot of high end, a lot of consumer goods. Okay, the basic appliances that we use for our convenience every single day. The majority of that is coming from either Japan or South Korea. At least if you're buying the mid tier or high grade,
Yeah.
okay,
Hell,
stuff.
the remote
Now,
control fan that I've got blowing on my nuts right now.
yeah.
That's a Korean
So
product.
this would in theory be a boon.
Hondo Che.
This could be a huge boon for General Electric, okay, who also competes right in this realm. But see, the problem is General Electric makes most of their shit overseas as well. So
Yeah.
General Electric's getting tariff too. This so for American the former American manufacturers, okay, who created these devices, all right, and who were the leaders in them for decades and decades, and basically exported their goods overseas for basically all of the 20th, well, the majority of the 20th century. That the ball's in their court. Okay, Trump is giving them a golden opportunity, like bring back Maytag, Whirlpool, General Electric, etc. Bring back manufacturing, Carrier, okay, air conditioner. Bring back manufacturing into the United States, and you will have a huge advantage over your foreign competitors. Okay,
Yes.
so
And
that,
between the tariffs and lowering corporate taxes,
yeah,
he's not just incentivizing these companies like GE and the like to re-onshore uh, their labor costs and all that stuff. You, guys, the global logistics business is an outrageously huge and high. I mean, there's a shitload of money there, and people think that we offshore work from America because you've got cheap slave labor in China and India, etc. That's only a very small part of it. The labor costs involved there are minuscule compared to the extraordinary costs of corporate taxes and federal regulation compliance, right? So by cutting regulations, cutting corporate taxes, and implementing tariffs to make foreign competitors non-competitive, Trump is not just incentivizing these big businesses to bring the work back here for our national security and our economic flourishing and prosperity. He's putting them in a position where they're not going to have the financial choice. They're not going to be able to afford to choose to continue to do business overseas in the way that they have.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So yeah, huge for with Japan and South Korea. I'm just going to kind of lump them together. Huge opportunity for domestic producers of consumer electronics and consumer appliances, right? So get on that shit. You got 3 years. Okay, this is actually one realm where the president really does have actual control, and a judicial activist can't actually stop him. Okay, this is raw Article 2 powers. All right, so act accordingly. India. All right, we'll do this. Is the last one we'll do. India. What do we get from India? I mean, other than their excess population. All right. Um,
No, that's it.
Basically it. I don't know how there's these for information and IT services, remote IT services. I'm not sure how those will be tariffed if they can be tariffed. Okay. I would be happy to see it though. I would be happy. I would like to see basically if you outsource your IT and tech, or basically out marketing, outsource whatever, because that's what happens. You get a single Indian, all right, in a department within a corporation. Suddenly the entire department is basically offshored to India, whether remotely or directly through H-1B. All right. I would like to see a 26% tariff basically imposed, punishing tariffs or punishing taxes imposed on companies that do this type of termite, basically, termite management. So, yep. And okay, then Thailand, other ones I want to touch on Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia. Okay, so Southeast Asia. What does that mean? It means the days of like cheapo $5 t-shirts at Walmart are basically over. Okay, because that's the majority of what we're getting from those countries is basically the stuff that's so cheap we don't even, China doesn't even make it anymore, because China's kind of advanced beyond that. So basically, yeah, you're schlock. They'll be let schlock got more expensive
Yeah.
essentially. All right, which that's fine. Maybe put down
Maybe stop buying trash you don't need.
put put down the credit card. Okay, put down the credit card. We heard from administrations. Okay, like virtually every administration since I've been a child has had some variation of, well, the American people are going to have to tighten their belts because uh, because of economic forces outside of our control. You know what? This time it's actually going to happen. But it never, nothing ever materialized from it. Okay, because reckless spending proceeded, uninhibited, and the economy was essentially pegged to consumer sentiment.
Right.
Basically, the amount of garbage the average American was buying because we live in a debt-based system.
And
Well,
the
now,
thing that
now,
Trump
now's
is
the time for actual austerity, American people. Okay,
Well, and the thing
exercise
that Trump is
controlled
revealing
austerity.
with these charts, the thing that Trump is revealing with these charts, like you were just saying, Mario, every administration has had some version, some moment, some version of the American people will have to tighten their belt due to factors beyond our control. What's being revealed by these charts in large part is that was always a lie.
Oh yeah, of course it
Those
was.
factors were absolutely within the control of the administration, but we've had decades since World War II of all of our presidents and all of our elected officials who had any input into economic policy whatsoever voluntarily choosing to subsidize our foreign adversaries at our expense, at the expense of our economy, at the expense of our flourishing, our liberty, and our prosperity, at the
Glo-
expense of the American, not just the American dream, the expense of American sovereignty.
yeah, globalism was always a lie. Um, and yeah, now last one I'll mention with the United Kingdom. That's just the baseline 10% to 10%. Okay, so that's
Yeah,
normal relations. However, Trump is talking about there's going to be addition. Basically, that will change because he's going to tie free trade to free speech. Okay, so I really hope he follows through on that. That would be absolutely hilarious. Okay,
yeah.
to see the British government turbo cucked. Okay, by Donald Trump. All right, basically, I don't know.
Trump's
Basically,
gonna he's basically gonna package it up in brown paper and mail it off, and Keir Starmer's gonna open a package to find you know a tariff laden love letter and a gimp suit.
yeah. If you continue terrorizing the very people who are like the foundational people of this country, okay, like our ancestors, right, are basically UK is dad. Okay, if we if you keep punishing your indigenous population the way you're doing, yeah, we'll cripple you. We'll absolutely economically cripple you. Because UK hasn't done itself any favors with the EU when it comes to economic trade. So, yeah, the UK has no choice. The UK has no choice but to deal with us. Okay,
Yeah.
the only thing they have on us is that the ultimate control for the international banking system that governs both of our countries ultimately rests within the city of London. Okay, but that's really all they have. Um, the UK without the financial sector would be a third world country.
Yeah.
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 Anyway, I guess we've gone well over. And that's all that's really all I care
Hey,
about.
you know what? This is a great day, great show.
Yep.
Great chance to, make up a little bit of extra time so that when we have some shorter shows over
Yeah.
the next couple of weeks, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that I have to spend 6 or 8 hours grinding Diablo
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
on the 30th.
Yeah. If you don't like watching on the 30th or 31st, 8 hours of Diablo 3 with a frame rate of 1 frame per 30 seconds, keep watching.
Yeah, this rig is not. This is not a game brought. The rig is great for gaming. It does fine for gaming. It is not built
It's
to
not a
broadcast gaming.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that, that's much more expensive computer. Um, all right.
Yep.
Well,
All right. So
is
I'm
there
gonna.
any closing
Okay.
statements?
Well, I'm gonna attempt a raid, and it does not appear to have done anything. I still don't understand what I'm doing wrong. Okay,
Did you research how to get better at that yesterday? No, you
I
did.
did, and I'm
You
trying.
did.
See, the thing is, the bitch about it is, as near as I can tell, there's no way to experiment with it. You have to do it live. It's a function of the live broadcast.
Yeah.
So the experimenting and the tech support stuff has to happen while you're live, as we are currently. Uh oh! I just hit the button and it did something different.
Oh
Wait,
no.
no, I see what I did there. Okay, that was okay. Nope, there it went. It did go. So it took a second to go through. Maybe it's gonna do the thing. So watch out for the raid coming at you, hopefully. If not, feel free to click the link that's popping up in the live chat there. If y'all want to go and watch it. Aaron Olson says, still here, LOL. I
Yeah.
don't see I don't
Something's
see it
happened on
happening.
my end. I haven't got I haven't got anything new in the chat for 45 minutes, with the exception of Megan Anderson Wilbanks. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's weird because we've got several people over on.
Yeah. If you're trying to get my attention, I apologize. I haven't got chats in 45 minutes. So
Oh, hey,
sorry,
yeah,
guys.
we guys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I see that Danny, Aaron Olson, Fee have all been doing live chats over on Rumble, and they're not populating over here on Rumble Studio. So
Yeah.
I'll send them. I'll get on X in a minute and send a message to Rumble and just be like, "Yo, what the hell is wrong with Rumble Studio?" Like right now, it says in the studio, it says there's three people watching on Rumble, and you go over to Rumble and it definitely shows more than that. So there's something. Rumble's having some trouble, but we're working on it. We're getting there, and yeah, it's a work in progress, labor of love, and all that. But hey, like I said, good show this morning. Made up some of the time that we're gonna have to make up at the end of the month. Uh, and after getting the first payout from the creator program, I have real faith that the creator program is a serious, viable endeavor, and I'm gonna have to double down on producing more content for you guys. So thanks for watching. Go get your Rumble Premium account or click the button, click the link, buy me a coffee to help fund this. You'll notice I didn't do any plugs today, so my preferred brand of coffee tends to be chock full of nuts, but we've got some 1775 coming, so I can try it and put a bag on the back shelf there.
Santa Fe Tobacco Company, the finest cigarette money can buy. Pay me. All right.
And yes, Mario, as soon as that paycheck comes through, I'm going to send you a piece of it.
I want big tobacco money. Okay. I'm like the guy in Thank You for Smoking. Okay. I gladly.
God, I love that movie. I love that movie. It's a great film.
Apple
All right.
pie, apple pie, cheddar cheese, hard liquor, and tobacco.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right, guys. Y'all be safe out there. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.
Ciao.